Hey everybody, I'm Mama Baird and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be making a couple of dinners featuring beef. I'm the type of cook where I just see what's in my fridge and I kind of throw random things together and that's what's for dinner. And these meals are a prime example of that. So let's get in here and let's see what I whip up in the kitchen featuring beef. If you're new to my channel, my name is Carolina. I live in Montana. I do a lot of pantry cooking, budget shopping, and product reviews on my channel. If that's the kind of content you're into, I hope you'd consider subscribing. I'd love to have you come join my YouTube family. I also have a Facebook group, Mama Baird's Homestead. Please come and join me over there. We do a lot of recipe sharing, general ideas. One of my favorite things about my Facebook group is when people post a food item that they received and they don't know what to do with it. They're like, hey, I have this, what can I do? And everybody jumps in and gives ideas. And I love that about my Facebook community. So come over and join me. Now for this first meal, I have some ground beef that I need to cook up. And then I have a couple of veggies in my fridge and I need to come up with some kind of starch. So let's get into the kitchen and let's see what I whip up. For today's dinner, I'm going to be making some rice in the Instant Pot. I have some turkey stock here that I'm going to be using. And then I have 3 different types of rice from 3 different bags that I'm going to be using. I wanted to see if it really made a difference, and it really didn't. They all kind of cooked the same, so it wasn't a big deal. But I'm going to be putting double the liquid to rice in here, and I'm going to add some salt because I don't put salt in my broth. That's going to add a lot of flavor. All you need to do to cook it in the Instant Pot is cook it for 3 minutes and then let it natural release for 10, and it comes out perfect. And then I have some onion here. I have some bell peppers, some little bell peppers. And then I have a little bit of broccoli left and as well as a pound of ground beef. So I'm thinking I'm just going to kind of saute everything together and then we'll serve it over the rice and make some gravy. So I'm just here dicing up my onion. My daughter wrote a note now. They're learning how to write and they're writing the notes for us to come to the room and stuff. So my husband was showing me that. It was so cute. So anyway, we dice an onion. Now, I don't even know if I'm going to use all this. Sometimes it's nice just to have everything diced up and prepped in your fridge ready to go though. So that way, whenever you are ready to add it, then it's no big deal. You don't have to get out your cutting board and your knife. It's already diced, ready to go. So I'm going to do the same thing for some of these sweet little peppers here. I like getting these because they're good for the kids to snack on and they're good to cut up and cook with as well. So it's nice to be able to have it. That's about $10 for that bag. I got it at Costco. And then here are some broccoli. Same thing, I got this bag for like $6 for 3 pounds of broccoli florets, already prepped and washed, ready to go. I'm just going to kind of trim them down a little bit because we are going to be adding them to the veggies and I don't want them too big. I like that this one has the stems already removed, so I feel like you're really getting your value because it's all the florets. And now I'm going to saute my veggies first. I have my cast iron skillet here. I put a little bit of olive oil. That's kind of been my oil of choice lately, trying to get a jug that I got from Costco used up. So once I have those cooked, they're not fully done. They still have a little crunch. I'm going to go ahead and put the broccoli on top and just throw a lid on it. And that's going to kind of help steam it. I have quite a bit in here. I'm kind of bad about just throwing everything in there. But we're going to let that cook a little bit. Our rice is done over here in the Instant Pot. It's been natural releasing for 10 minutes. Now I'm going to throw together my sauce. All it is some cornstarch that you make into a slurry by just adding some water. I also could have added some of the beef broth instead of the water to it. Doesn't really matter though. And then I'm going to use some soy sauce. I did half a cup of soy sauce. And then I'm also going to do half a cup of brown sugar as well as a 1/4 cup of honey. I'm using a recipe that I found off of Pinterest. I did find this a little sweet. I added some garlic powder. I did wish I would have added something a little spicy though, like maybe some red pepper flakes. I added a squirt of sesame oil. I learned through my Chinese video that it's actually better to use that as a finishing sauce than a cooking sauce. So that was good to learn. And now I'm going to add this to my cooked ground beef. I didn't do anything special to the beef. And then I'm going to add that whole can of beef broth. That's going to tone down some of that sweetness as well. And then it's going to make a nice gravy once we add our cornstarch slurry. And you can tell pretty instantly as soon as it starts bubbling that cornstarch starts thickening up that liquid. And that's what makes a nice gravy. You could also do flour and water mixed together if you don't have cornstarch. That is another way that you can help thicken it. And now we're going to go over here and our rice is done. So I let it natural release and for 10 minutes and then I just kind of let it stay in the pot and now I'm fluffing it and it tastes fantastic. So here are our finished bowls. I have the rice and then the onions, peppers, and broccoli. And then I just poured the beef gravy on top with some green onions. And that's what we had for dinner. For tonight's dinner, I have these short ribs that I've had in my freezer for a while. They're starting to get a little freezer burnt. So I want to get these cooked up and get them out of the freezer. So I'm just going to put them frozen straight into the crock pot. I was trying to like angle them so they wouldn't be right on top of each other. I ended up laying one flat and one sideways. And then the only thing I'm going to be putting in here with this is some cowboy candy brine. This is left over from when I make my cowboy candy. And I jar it up as well and use it for roast like this when I'm cooking meat, because the vinegar and the sweetness and the spiciness does really well at help breaking down meat. So now that it's been cooking for about 8 hours, I'm going to pull it off and try and get it off the bone. I don't really do much with ribs. I cooked them when I worked in restaurants, but I don't really cook them much at home. And these ones had like this membrane that I kept having to pull off. Maybe I should have cut that to kind of get that looser. I'm not quite sure, but I ended up just pulling it off and putting it in with the bones. That's going to make good stock. The juice did get a little dark, so I didn't end up using stock out of this. I just used all this and poured it on top of my dog's food. He really enjoyed that. But I'm doing this just to get those used up, and now I'll have this rib meat. I'm not really planning on using this for any certain thing. It's just something that I needed cooked up and have in my fridge ready to go so I can make some quick dinners. I tasted it and it was kind of not seasoned, so I just added some salt and pepper, but the rest of it tasted really good and I liked how easy it was to shred. So let's get in here and let's make some dinners with it. Now that our meat is shredded, I'm going to put down some vegetable oil on my griddle here. Let's get it kind of spread around because we are going to be frying some tacos. I saw this from Brooke on Southern Frugal Mama. She is a good friend of mine. If you are not subscribed to her channel, please go check her out. She is fantastic. So I'm going to put the corn tortilla down. And then I'm going to put some meat on this side. Meat on this side. I think I could have done cheese first, but that's okay. And all you saw, all I did was add salt and pepper to this. There we go. Get this closed up. Press down. There we go. Same thing. Kind of got to move quickly. Move with a purpose. Doesn't sound like a dad. Move like you have a purpose. Alright. So this is just going to be like, they're called kind of like street tacos kind of thing, or fried tacos. I don't remember what she called them, but they're good, okay? Flip it. Get the other side. I needed to use up these corn tortillas. I don't use corn tortillas as much as flour. If you guys have any good ideas on what I can do with a bunch of corn tortillas, please let me know in the comments below. I always need ideas. Alright, I'm going to let this melt just a little more. I wonder if I make extra of these, if I could freeze them, and then we could reheat them in the air fryer. What do you guys think? I think I might do that, because then that'll get all of this meat used up, and the corn tortillas, and it'll give me some convenient food for the freezer. We served that with some sour cream, and that's what we had for dinner. I gotta say, probably the best hack that I could give you on whipping up meals is to have your proteins ready. So either have them thawed or have them cooked in the fridge, where you just have to add some stuff and bam, you have some dinner. Those work really well too in incorporating boxed sides. If you already have your protein cooked, then you can make a boxed side and then add the meat, and then you can turn it into a dinner. I have a couple of videos on boxed dinners turning into the main star. I will have them linked below if you're interested in learning more about that. So for this next meal, I'm going to be taking some pre-made beef and we're going to be turning it into a delicious meatball sandwich. So let's get in the kitchen and let's put it together. For these meatball subs, I'm going to be using some kind of like French bread loaves, and we're going to be using Costco meatballs. I'm just going to throw these in the air fryer, cook them for 8 minutes. That seems to be my go-to number. I can always add a couple more minutes if needed. And then I'm going to take one of the loaves and split it into thirds so each kid will have one sandwich. And then we're going to take the second loaf and split that in half, and that's going to be for me and my husband. I haven't really made meatball subs at home before, and I'm worried that they might get too crunchy, but I do still want them to have some of a crunch so they won't get soggy when you put the sauce on them. So I'm going to put some butter on there, and then I'm going to sprinkle some of this Johnny's garlic seasoning spread. I can have this linked below. It is so good, you guys. I put it in my spaghetti. Obviously, use it for garlic bread. It is amazing. So I'm going to toast those in the air fryer as soon as these meatballs come out, and 8 minutes did just fine. You can tell they're still nice and juicy, and they were hot, but I didn't have them too super crispy because they're already cooked. I just needed to heat them up. So I'm going to try my toast feature on my air fryer here. This is my Dreo, and then on the other side in my Ramjoy I have fries because I'm spoiled and have 2 air fryers. I have both of these that I have reviewed, so if you're interested in seeing some of those, I can have them linked below as well. Now I'm just going to be using canned pizza sauce and take it straight out of the can. I'm not even going to heat it up because it'll heat up in the air fryer. So for the kids, I'm taking the meatballs and I'm kind of breaking them in half, doing roughly 4 meatballs per loaf. And then I'm going to scoop the pizza sauce right on top. I'm always worried about doing too much so it's messy to eat, but then you need sauce, so you got to have some on there. And then I'm going to add a slice of provolone cheese on the very top of it, and we are going to put those in there. I'm trying to keep them straight up so it'll melt down and not have it like sideways, if that makes sense. So I'm going to straighten it up and put them together. I'm going to lower the temp to 325 and bake these for 3 minutes because they don't need to get any crunchier. They just kind of need to get warmed up. So those are baking, and then I'm going to shake my fries that are over here in the other one. Now I can only fit 2 at a time, but this takes no time at all, I feel, to do the air fryer, and it's so nice to be able to not heat up my oven. So I don't mind doing them in batches. Like I have those 2 done, and now I'm going to put this 3rd one in here, and it won't take that long. And here they are. That's what they looked like. Super delicious meatball subs. I gotta say, those were the best meatball subs I have ever made. They were also the first ones, but I think I did really good. Husband said it needed a little more sauce, so I still kind of went light on the sauce. I was just worried about a mess, but the kids ate it and it was delicious, so that was definitely something that I'm gonna be making again. Now for this last meal, one of my favorite things is having a bowl, like mashed potatoes on the bottom, cheese, veggie, and then beef, chicken, some kind of juicy meat in its own gravy, poured on top, and it's just something that really hits your soul. You know, you're like, oh, that is the spot. Well, that's what I'm going to be making in this last meal, and the best thing about it is that it's under 20 minutes. So let's get in the kitchen and let's see how I do it. I have cooked up a pound of ground beef here, and as it's finished cooking, I'm going to throw some Who's Your Sister sauce on there. And that really adds a good caramelization to the beef. I think it really complements it really well. And it just kind of adds that, like a back flavor that would be like, ooh, what is that? It kind of levels up your cooking, to use Worcestershire sauce. So we're going to take that beef out of the pan, and to it, I'm going to add some olive oil. You could add any type of fat that you like using though. And then I'm going to add some all-purpose flour. This is going to be making a roux, which makes the gravy. So, you know, in the first meal where I used cornstarch and water to make a slurry, this is called a roux. This is another technique to thicken things up, and this is just a fat and flour of equal parts. You cook it for about a minute together, and then you're going to slowly add in your liquid. Now, I do advise that you use a whisk. I was trying not to use a lot of utensils, but a whisk is really needed for the gravy to make sure that it doesn't lump. So I switched here, and now I'm just spending the extra time to try and get those lumps out. But if you were to start with the whisk right away, then it wouldn't be as lumpy so bad. But you can just work on them and the lumps will come out. You can also always strain this gravy at the end of it if needed, if it becomes too lumpy. But they ended up coming out pretty well, and I'm just going to slowly add the rest of the beef broth until I'm comfortable that all of the lumps are out and it's where I want to be. And then I'm going to add the rest of the can. I really need to look into making my own beef broth. I want to buy some from the local butcher and then make it that way. I think that would be a lot of fun. So that's something that is a future video in the making. Now all I'm going to add to this is some pepper and some salt. That's really all it needs. Another good addition to brown gravy that I have found is some mustard, like a little teaspoon of yellow mustard or even some kind of spicy brown mustard would be good in here as well. And now for the mashed potatoes, I'm going to just use a packet. I cooked 2 cups of water in the microwave, and then I'm going to pour it in a container and just mix it up with the pack of instant potatoes and let that sit for about 5 minutes while we finish up our gravy. And that's going to be the bottom. We're going to kind of like make a stack. Now I'm going to put in some Worcestershire sauce, just a little bit into the gravy. I gave it a try and it wasn't quite seasoned enough, so I added a little bit more salt. I just do a little bit at the time because you can always add more, but you can't take any out. After about 2 or 3 minutes, the potatoes are fluffed and ready to go. Now all I'm going to do is pour the beef back into that gravy mixture, and that'll thicken up as it cools down as well. So on the plate there, I got the mashed potatoes, and then I put the cheese on there, and then I'm going to pour the hot beef on top so that it's mashed potatoes, cheese, brown gravy bits, and then we had some blueberries, and that's what we had for dinner. That dinner was absolutely amazing. As I was editing it, my daughter came and was watching me make the meal again through the video, and she was like, "Mama, can you make that again sometime soon? That was really good." She's got a thing for mashed potatoes. So if you have kids, please give it a try. It is absolutely phenomenal, and you can even, I probably should have added like peas and carrots to the burger mix as well. That would have been really good, and get an extra veggie in there. But adapt it. Make it however you like. That's the best thing about pantry cooking, is that you just use what you have. You don't have to follow a certain recipe. You can adapt things, you can modify things, and it's going to be okay. So I hope this video encouraged you to get into your cupboards and use up some of your pantry. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you next time on Mama Baird's.